Shalom. This coming week in the Torah, we are in Parshat Tissa, Exodus 30 through 34. The Israelites panic when Moses does not return from Mount Sinai when they thought he would. They want to worship God, and so they demand that the brother of Moses, Aaron, help them. He asks the people to bring him gold, which he melts into the shape of a calf. Moses then descends the mountain with the tablets containing the sacred words of God, only to see the people worshiping this golden calf. And so in great anger, Moses smashes the tablets of the law. What were the people thinking? What was Aaron thinking? Great questions, but my question for you today is, what was Moses thinking? I mean, I get that he was angry, but why did he have to smash the tablets? I mean, these were God's words on stone. These were the most sacred objects ever given to humanity. Now, the standard answer given by the rabbis is that the people's very act violated the ideas on these tablets. How could Moses give them the tablets after what they did? And so I get that. But still, why smash these holy objects? These words are holy. These words are a divine gift from God. So there are a lot of answers offered, but I want to suggest something that it's on my own. And I base it actually not myself, but on the teachings of a colleague who was with me in Guatemala, Rabbi Gordon Tucker. Rabbi Tucker called attention to a teaching from a biblical scholar of the late 1800s, Arnold Ehrlich. He's the author of Mikra Kifshuto, the plain meaning of the text. Ehrlich's explanation is not really what I'm going to say, but I think without encountering his teaching, thanks to Rabbi Tucker, I would have never thought of this or suggested what I'm about to say. I want you to think of what kind of God Moses was introducing to the Jewish people in the Torah. God was not a God frozen in idolatrous stone or carved out of marble any longer. This God would not be limited to location, would not be limited to geography. The God of Israel is a God unbound by time, by space, by bodily accidents and fates. This God that was being introduced to the Jewish people is known as Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. I will be what I will be. This was a God unlike any other God worshipped before. Similarly, the sacred words, the sacred ideas that Moses was bringing down from Mount Sinai was a text like no other. These were not edicts of a human king to be etched in stone. They were not to be societal words to be engraved for all time. Instead, the law, the Torah, was to be a living, breathing document that was both going to help define purpose, meaning, and insist on human interaction with it. It would be a sacred text, but it would be more than that. It would be a text that we were to study, to interpret, to be explained, and also elucidated by scholars. This was not going to be a frozen text on tablets of stone, but a treasure that will grow, that will expand as long as humans explored its endless, consecrated caves of wonder. I think when Moses saw the people surrounding a golden calf and calling that God, Moses realized that this people were unprepared for the interaction with an infinite God. they still imagined the God that was confined in stone, frozen as an object of adoration, to be danced around, to be carried, to be uplifted, and not an eternal companion to humanity who carries us and is both beyond our ken and yet incredibly close when we call. And I think Moses realized that if they were not ready for that kind of God, they certainly weren't ready for a holy text that invited them, that demanded of them to study it, to grapple with it, to grow with it. These words that Moses was bringing down was not going to be an heirloom to be hid in a box. These words were going to be unlike anything else. Holy words that, like God, would travel with them in their thoughts, interact with them, guide them, inspire them, and most of all, challenge them. My friends, I offer this thought, and I ask that we all take care and think about the sacred texts that we all have. For the Jewish people, that divine text, of course, is the Torah. What do we do with the Torah? Well, we house it in an ark. We call it an aron. We cover it with a mantle. We surround it with silver. We adorn it with a crown. Yes, it is precious to us. But my friends, it has no sacredness if all it is a holy tome placed on display in a synagogue, held high for a ceremony, read publicly like a king's decree. That's an ordinary object. That's an object frozen in time. That's an object confined and relegated to becoming irrelevant and hid behind a curtain. A sacred book becomes what it's meant to be when it becomes a living text, when it is studied, when it is grappled with, when it is argued over every single day. Then it becomes a sacred text. When Moses saw that the people were not ready to receive a living God, I think Moses knew they also were not ready for a living text. And maybe that's why he smashed those tablets. I pray that we learn to treat our sacred texts as living texts, ones that we yearn to encounter, interpret, and discover meaning every single day. Amen.